This doctor has been recognised as one of Britain's leading paediatricians, an expert in child protection. He has accused these women of abusing their children and demanded their kids be separated from them.
If the parent is actually telling you a bunch of lies because they are actually responsible for the injury or illness, that's extremely difficult if you're a doctor.
During his career, he's been involved in over 100 cases where children have been taken from their families. He says he was always acting for the welfare of the child.
I want Dr Southall to be stopped so that he can never, ever work as a doctor and harm any vulnerable child ever again.
They believe he abused the system and tried to further his career by illegally researching on their kids.
Was there any real science? Of course there wasn't. He was piddling about with children.
They've spent the last 20 years trying to destroy his career.
He has lost his High Court battle against a decision to strike him off the medical register.
Good God.
Accused a mother of drugging and murdering her 10-year-old son.
I've spent the last 2 years trying to work out who was right.
The lies that are told by the parents doing this to their children are continuous. Everything's lies.
He's the only person I know who could make the word mother sound like a dirty word.
One way or another, this war is about to come to an end. David Southall is a hugely influential doctor.
You're going to be on the front with the ropes now.
He's also been described as enigmatic, zealous, and very dangerous. But it wasn't always like that.
From the moment every child goes into intensive care, you don't know how long it's going to be. You should be taking precautions from the beginning.
David is a man who loves a challenge. He began his career trying to unravel the mystery of cot death, something that continues to elude medical science.
I was focused heavily at that time on research. It was exciting. We were finding things out that had never been found out about babies and children. And we were publishing and we were getting invitations all over the world to present our work.
In the late 80s, the terrifying phenomenon of sudden infant death syndrome was attracting huge public interest. Then David stunned many of his colleagues when he came up with a radical and shocking theory. What if the parents themselves were causing these deaths?
Paediatricians were suddenly confronted with the fact that what they thought was a natural medical problem that they didn't understand was actually homicide.
David Southall, when he was involved in research, was prepared to think the unthinkable, prepared to consider possibilities that other people would have shied away from, such as the possibility that a child is having frequent episodes where they stop breathing, that they may be stopping breathing because somebody's putting a pillow over their face. For most of us, you think, crikey, that's an awful thing to say. How dare you say something so outrageous? For him, it was a clinical conundrum that had to be investigated.
David caused intense ethical debate when he gained permission to secretly record parents on a ward who he suspected were suffocating their children. David knew his idea was only a theory, and his reputation was on the line if he didn't get proof.
Nothing happened for a week. And it was getting very, very tense indeed in the hospital. Doing the clinical physiology work and making such a terrible accusation, which was, according to the evidence, there was no evidence for it.
So you've gone out on a limb here?
Correct. There's no doubt. There were people in the department who were very, very concerned. And then on a Saturday, I got a phone call from the police. We want you to come in. I come in, it's 100% obvious. Mother had suffocated the child with a T-shirt. No question about it. It's black and white. These children cannot breathe. And even though they're little, they're fighting. Even little babies are fighting to escape. And of course they can't escape because the adult is 10 times more powerful than they are. In this case, again, you've got babies on the mother's lap, and the mother is holding her hand across the nose and mouth, and the baby's struggling to breathe, arms and legs moving.
They're very shocking.
Yes, they are.
That's all to say, really. This bizarre form of child abuse was called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Smothering was only one aspect of it. Parents were also accused of inventing their child's illness, often resulting in unnecessary major surgery. The condition gripped the nation, and stories of suspected cases flooded the media.
Doctors suspected that Andrew's mother had invented his medical condition. They believed she was suffering from a bizarre mental disorder.
David, who was fast becoming the leading expert, was swamped with hundreds of referrals from doctors across the country.
The researchers had got misled by the parents into believing there was something wrong with their baby's breathing, when actually it wasn't the baby that was the problem, it was the parent.
Some of his most contentious cases of alleged child abuse involved these mothers. Despite having no video evidence of them smothering their children, Dr. Southall insists their guilt is irrefutable.
Everybody's coming from the premise that everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie. You're this awful, awful piece of shit, quite frankly.
They've all made their names on the backs of us. They've all built their careers on it. That's what they've done.
My son's life and my life were nearly destroyed by Dr. Southall. He destroyed our lives. Sorry.
David Southall's meteoric rise in the world of medicine ran into trouble when he started accusing parents of harming their children.
This is far from the end of the matter for Professor David Southall.
He became the target of a vitriolic campaign led by the accused parents. But he still refuses to back down, and he has huge support from the medical establishment.
People who harm their children, and there are lots of, sadly, of parents who harm their children, will always, in many cases, claim they're innocent.
How are you going to do with
I'm going to switch the kettle off.
Cup of tea behind us.
With sugar?
David is adamant that the parents are the cause of all the controversy,
You have to be careful about accepting everything you're told.
and is evangelical when explaining how deceptive they are.
Incredibly, the lies are told so plausibly.
Right.
The way that these people talk to you, you know, you would have no way could I think this nice-looking, intelligent mother is telling me a pack of lies.
I went to meet one of the accused mothers, Dee Hollisey McLean.
I think he's gone on strike.
Dee and her husband Dave have 4 kids. Dee told me her third son Ben was born with life-threatening breathing problems with no known cure.
Come on.
Ben loved life. He enjoyed life to the full, even though he had problems. He was great. He was a super kid.
Dee said that doctors had told her that Ben could die at any moment. And at the age of 5 months, he was given a tracheostomy to help him breathe. She was desperate for help.
I'm one of the lucky ones because my baby Anne Hurd is under Dr. Southall from the Royal Brompton.
Yeah.
I am lucky.
I saw Dr. Southall on television one morning, one of the early morning chat shows, and he was talking about a monitor that he designed to record the oxygen levels on a baby.
Little did she realise her pursuit of a medical specialist was raising suspicions about her behaviour. there was a growing concern that she may be exaggerating Ben's condition to gain attention for herself. Remarkably, she had unwittingly chosen one of the few men qualified to act on these concerns. Dee believed she'd finally found someone able to help with Ben's chronic illness. But Dr. Southall was sceptical whether Ben had any problems in the first place.
Dr. Southall was claiming that, to quote him, Ben's parents are pursuing a rare and life-threatening illness on Ben's behalf. This illness does not exist and their behaviour is detrimental to his welfare. The allegations were just horrific. You know, I was accused of poisoning, smothering, all sorts of things that just couldn't have been further from the truth.
Dee and Dave were summoned to an emergency case conference, where Dr. Southall and a team of experts accused them both of causing Ben's breathing problems. This led to an order for Ben to be removed from the family home.
I can remember everybody getting up and leaving the room, and I just sat. I just couldn't believe or comprehend what had just gone on. All I remember is the disbelief and the devastation.
Ben was eventually returned to their care, but at some point he suffered brain damage, something Dee was also accused of causing.
I felt that I was robbed of my dignity. I lost all my integrity. I was robbed of all my aims. I had no values left.
Dee and Dave have never recovered from the impact of these times, and their lives have been consumed by the fallout ever since.
And if he was removed from our care, he would get better.
I just never in my wildest dreams ever thought that myself or Dave could be accused of anything like this, because nothing could ever have been further away from the truth, you know, and still to this day couldn't be. I would never harm a child, anybody's child, let alone my own.
There's an overwhelming sense of despair and betrayal from parents who believe they were falsely accused. But this feeling of betrayal can also be experienced by paediatricians.
People should not underestimate how difficult it is. We, most of the time, are clearly working with parents, and then to suddenly have to change our role and play a role rather like a policeman is an enormously difficult thing to do, and it causes many of us nightmares.
It's unfortunately a very common problem, and it's not something that society wants to know about, really. They want mothers to always love their children at all costs, never to hurt them, because that's how you want society to be. Yeah. The reality is very different.
My life ended.
Another mother whose life was changed by Dr. Southall's medical intervention.
My world was destroyed.
You're not having one yourself?
I'm going to have a can of Coke. You can have a cold drink if you want.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually addicted to Coke. Drinking Coke, by the way.
Justine Feder told me her baby Rosie was also born with alarming breathing problems.
I was scared she was going to die in her sleep. I was scared of her being asleep. I used to look at her and think, how can you look so perfect and healthy and possibly have something really, really wrong with you? In my mindset, whatever the doctors had to do had to be done. I truly believed that they were the be-all and the end-all of everything that needed to be put right should there been anything wrong.
Dr. Southall's team ran a series of tests and came to the conclusion the problem wasn't the child, it was the mother.
These two social workers came in and he said, I've received a statement from Southall saying that he has irrefutable proof that you suffer from Munchausen syndrome by proxy. To which I sat and went, what's that?
Justine was told her daughter was in danger of dying and her breathing must be closely monitored. However, doctors privately suspected Justine was smothering Rosie, and they were placed in a hospital cubicle with hidden cameras. They spent 5 days and nights in this cubicle, with 2-year-old Rosie permanently attached to numerous monitoring sensors.
Have you any idea what it's like to be put into a goldfish bowl and have everything you say analysed? I was sat on the bed and there was this big monitor at the end of the bed, and to have it explained that Rosie would have to be on this monitor 24 hours a day. I can't watch Thomas the Tank Engine to this day because that was all we had to watch over and over and over again. Trying to keep her amused, trying to interact with her, and trust me, I got thoroughly naffed off sometimes, really, really naffed off. So did she.
Dr. Southall's team found no evidence of smothering, but at one point, Justine lost her temper and slapped Rosie in the face, something that was later used in court against her.
Southall had written down that I'd punched her in the face. And on video, it looks horrific because we're both really stressed out. I think I was crying at the time as well, through sheer frustration. Went like that with my hand, and I must have caught under her chin, and she sat there for a good few seconds, and she went, and then she started screaming the place down.
Despite having the backing of 2 medical experts in court, Justine lost custody of both her children.
When did you get your kids back then, or how did that work?
Rosie came back to me when she was 12.
12? My God.
When she was old enough to make her own mind up.
I didn't realise it was that long. Do you feel guilty still?
Yeah. Yeah. You see, now I question myself as to what mother would let their child go through 5-6 days of being on a bed, not able to do anything, not be the norm, not play properly. What mother does that? To me, that was tantamount to child abuse. Because that's not normal for a 2-year-old.
Okay, that's enough, I think. Enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. God.
How did I cope? Oh, at least I didn't break down completely. It's
okay?
a practice, yeah, I'm all right. No.
When news got out that patients were being secretly filmed, covert video surveillance was abandoned by the hospital.
4 hidden cameras, 1 in each corner. And
Surrounding controversy also fueled a growing campaign against David, led by parents who claimed they were falsely accused. This campaign went on to pursue him relentlessly, leading to multiple complaints against him. After a series of high-profile hearings, David was finally banned from being a practicing doctor by the General Medical Council.
I've often had to make difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions, but the welfare of the children has always been paramount.
There's a strong sense amongst paediatricians that the top man, the man who had published some of the best research in this area, had been targeted and had been systematically defamed.
The only way they could see to free themselves from this constant money-wasting, time-wasting activity was to get rid of me.
Before he was struck off the medical register, David Southall said he had 47 separate cases against him. So far, the Medical Defence Union has spent £750,000 defending him, and they continue to back him.
Every time that a paediatrician involved in child protection produces evidence that ends up with a conviction, either in the criminal court or a child is taken into care, you have arranged in front of you a bunch of enemies. Serious enemies. These are not minor issues you're doing. You're not upsetting the neighbours. This is, somebody could go to jail, somebody could lose their children forever on the basis of something that you've contributed to. The more you do, and I did about 120 cases, the more there is a build-up of people who do not like you and who have reasons to be against you.
Penny Mellor is considered David Southall's most lethal enemy. Although she was never accused of abuse by him, she's the main organiser of the campaign against him.
No.
Penny acts as unpaid legal advisor, advocate and informal press officer for parents she believes have been falsely accused of abuse.
The GMC lied to her, yeah. But they couldn't have got over it.
A self-proclaimed extremist, she believes the results justify the means.
I was told right from the go-get, I could not change the system.
Right.
I couldn't do it individually, but what I could do was get cases and use those cases and then publicise those cases to get that to change the system. Cause public outrage. And that changes the system. And that's what I did. I fed the media story after story out. That's why journalists ring me all the time. I feed them, yeah? Well, let me tell you, I would have warned you if I thought for one moment they would have come to you.
Penny's activism has wreaked havoc in the lives of many, including her own.
This is your hospital, everybody! Come on! They're killing children!
She was sentenced to 2 years in prison for a conspiracy to abduct a child. And it was Dr Southall who tipped off the police.
Is that hard?
Since coming out of prison, she stopped doing street protests and concentrates on bombarding government bodies with legal challenges and complaints.
So how many people do you advocate for or represent, would you say?
Very few now.
How many?
I suppose, let me see, 30, around 30 families, all of whom I know personally, all of whom I've had a lot of interaction with, all of whom I've met, all of whom I can...
How do you know they didn't do the things that they've been accused of doing?
How does anybody know?
How do you know?
I don't know.
So it's possible that they could have done the things.
It is possible they could have done it, but the evidence doesn't support it, one, and two, again, it goes to a gut feeling about that person and who they are and how they are. I can't afford to get this wrong. If I'm going to, say, latch on to a case which I feel is particularly important in terms of showing the courts or whatever that something went drastically wrong in the diagnostics way back at the beginning, I can't afford to choose somebody that ultimately may have harmed a child.
David insisted I would never get a clear picture of what was really going on, because the professionals involved are legally forbidden from discussing any cases.
The journalists cannot go to the family court or to the paediatrician involved or the expert or the guardian or the social worker and say, now you tell me your side of that story, because they cannot speak about it.
If I can get access to court records, transcripts, case conference, that will give me a side.
Of course it would, but you can't.
Well, if I can.
I don't think you will, unless, of course, the parents give them to you.
Right, well, if the parents give them to you.
If the parents give them to you, they are also in contempt of court.
I thought David was trying to warn me off, but I was now hearing from a growing list of accused parents, each with their own disturbing and compelling account of what happened with Dr Southall.
We are so glad that we came here because Lawrence had such freedom here.
One mother, Janet Alexander, told me she was accused of deliberately poisoning her only child, Lawrence, an accusation that plagues her to this day.
I'm never quite sure how people see me because I think the pain shows. You know, because I kind of... It's the brand on the forehead, do you know what I mean? Because it's still quite raw. It's 20 years ago, but it's quite raw. It's never been dealt with. So I wrote in my diary just before Christmas, "This is not my life," and this isn't my life.
Good ones at Brighton.
Janet struggled for many years to conceive, and she and her husband were overjoyed when Lawrence was born.
It's me and Dad's.
She told me their delight turned to terror when, as a baby, Lawrence started turning blue and stopped breathing. Doctors couldn't explain what was happening to Lawrence, and suspicion started to fall onto Janet.
And there was this insinuation that actually we were kind of imagining what was wrong with Lawrence, So he was having these things, so there's nothing to worry about. And we're saying, but what are you talking about? He's been resuscitated, he's been seen to be close to death. What are you talking about?
Lawrence was thought to be at risk, and due to the growing suspicion, legal proceedings were brought to put the family under supervision. Janet and her husband successfully defended themselves in court, and the case was dismissed.
The easiest thing for everybody.
The family moved away and tried to start a new life, but the damning allegations stayed in Lawrence's medical records. Janet told me that it leaked into her new community that they were poisoners.
Initially we got a lovely warm response here, and then people started saying things to us. Certainly the school were told we were poisoners, because suddenly they wouldn't let me help with the children's kindergarten lunches. Whereas before we'd been allowed to run the school library and, we went in and sat on classes, suddenly we weren't allowed in the school. And Lawrence had to be walked to his classroom by another teacher. We've both spoken to Samaritans, haven't we? Though we've never talked about it, have we?
Janet has never recovered from the trauma of these events.
We don't trust anybody. We're fairly reclusive. We have some close friends. We are not part of this society. We are not welcome in this society. We live on the periphery. We're not required, yeah.
Why would Janet spend 20 years of her life trying to clear her name if she wasn't falsely accused?
Revenge. They see one of the people involved in interfering with their actions in difficulties, in trouble, and also vulnerable because of the position that the family court and contempt of court laws quite rightly place them in.
Right.
And the fact that the media, and I have to bring this up, the media generally feel that what matters is the sensationalism of the story. That's what sells, rather than the truth.
It's such an uneven playing field when you think about it. They had no chance because that whole syndrome is about lying. That whole syndrome is about attention seeking. The more they screened, the more they profiled. And the more he was able to say, you see, that's it, you see, that's what I'm talking about. Do you see how they like to draw attention, going to the media, going to the police?
To David Southall, Janet Davis perfectly fits the profile of a Munchausen's mother. She's appeared in the media, she's complained to the GMC and the police, and, like the other mothers, she's become obsessed with holding Dr Southall to account.
He would try and get you to believe these lies about me.
If I met him, nothing's going to change, is it?
Janet faced startling allegations when she took her highly allergic son Michael into hospital.
He said, "Do you know how severely allergic he is?" He said, "Do you know what to do?" And I said, "What?" He said, "You could be putting a peanut in his lunchbox." And I said, but he has reactions at school at different times. I said, and he is so allergic to so many things. I spend my life keeping him safe.
Janet sought help from a specialist, namely Dr Southall. He wanted Michael to have independent allergy tests without Janet present. When Janet questioned the safety of these tests, Dr Southall instigated a child protection investigation known as a Section 47.
Social services refused to act. They said that, as far as they're concerned, the only person that has any concerns about my son was Dr Southall, and it's clearly documented how my son is. So I have everything to thank them for, because they protected my son. If they hadn't have done what they'd done, and my son had been taken into care, he might not be here today.
Southall still tried on another 2 occasions to get a Section 47 up until 99, up until he was suspended. He still tried to get Michael.
How do you know?
It's in the records, social services records. Southall still tried on another 2 occasions to get a Section 47 up until 99, up until he was suspended. He still tried to get Michael.
How do you know?
It's in the records, social services records. He contacted social services.
She's saying that I was trying all the time to implement a Section 47, which is a child protection investigation.
Yeah.
And that is not true. She is right, I did contact social services later in this case, after the conference had been closed, because of information that was given to me by somebody in the area involved with the child.
I saw that.
And all I did was ring up and say, I have concerns about this, but that's all. And there were many other reasons why what happened in that family as a result of my input were to the great benefit of that child. But again, I can't go into it. Yeah, there were many reasons why what actually happened through the child protection system was of great benefit both to that child and that family, which I can't go into because they're not in the public domain.
You're saying your input helped the family?
Absolutely. It helped the child in particular.
I would like to
Absolutely.
point at
And she
that
knows
time, oh God, social services actually stated that they would be around for a few months to protect us from Dr Southall. And they actually stated to my son, this doctor got it wrong.
She gave you permission to discuss it?
No, I won't do it. Because of her child. It's the sake of her child, who's now grown up, or growing up. Grown up. It's not in his interest to know.
To know what?
The issues that I'm holding back.
Are you talking about problems with her husband?
I'm not going to talk about them. You can talk about them, but I'm not.
Problems with her husband's alcoholic?
I'm not going to talk about them.
Well, I can talk, I'm not talking.
But my partner was still around for a few years later.
He won't. I don't know what he's talking about. He hasn't said. What is he talking about?
There's nothing. There's nothing.
There were many reasons why what actually happened through the child protection system was of great benefit both to that child and that family, which I can't go into because they're not in the public domain.
You're saying your input helped the family?
Absolutely. It helped the child in particular. Absolutely. And she knows it. But it can't be discussed because it's confidential information.
But he's saying that it wouldn't be helpful to you to know what he knows because you might learn something about your mother that could damage your relationship.
Oh no, that's bollocks, that is. Not going to change anything, is it?
What do you think he's talking about?
What, him helping me? Is that what you mean? What do you think he's talking about?
Yeah.
I've got no idea what he's talking about right there, to be honest. I can't see any evidence right now of him having helped me in any way whatsoever. Unless, he magically turned my mother around from being a child abuser to a good mother, like that.
Did he do that?
Oh, he clearly did that, didn't he? No, of course he didn't.
Is your mother a child abuser?
No, no.
How do you know?
Well, you'd notice as a child, wouldn't you? It'd be quite apparent.
Janet eventually took her case to the Lords of Appeal, who acknowledged she had been wrongfully accused. But David insists that doesn't necessarily prove her innocence.
The truth is being bent to enhance the views these families have about my work. And the trouble is, as usual, that in order to answer the questions in a convincing a way as possible, I would have to reveal confidential medical information which is not in the interests of their children.
Was it proved to be correct in her case?
I'm not going to answer that question because, again, it's not...
You said that the women who
were at this
case against you and the GMC were guilty. Do you stand by that?
What I say is that they were saying things about what I'd done.
No. You said they were guilty.
Oh, guilty of what?
Child abuse.
Of abusing their children.
Yes. Do you stand by that?
I stand by that, yes.
It was clear neither side would ever agree. But it begged the larger question, why? Why would such an eminent doctor risk his livelihood pursuing these mothers if not to protect the children? The parents believe they have the answer.
Why are you looking like that, Leo? Look like that. Oh, you don't believe me, do you?
Dee Hollisey McLean thinks Dr. Southall's real motivation has nothing to do with protecting children. She believes his real interest in her son Ben was purely for medical research.
I mean, he was determined to get Ben. He'd already been put into Southall's research. We've had that confirmed. And he was determined, having entered him into his research project, that there was no way anybody else was going to prevent it from happening. Have you got your trainers on?
Dee and Dave believe Dr. Southall's tests on Ben were in fact part of his ongoing research. They are convinced these tests caused their son's brain damage.
We believe that Ben was assaulted when he when he was a 5-year-old. Tests were carried out on Ben against our wishes, and we feel that they were detrimental to his health and well-being.
Look at those.
Oh, yes.
Do you like them?
Yeah, yes, I do.
And that's what we've been campaigning for all these years, is to get to a point where the people responsible for this are held to account.
Come with them tomorrow, can't you? How many times did we walk around the park the other day?
5 days.
5 times we walked around there, didn't we?
The police first looked at this 10 years ago, but nothing happened. However, now Dee says she's uncovered hidden medical files to back up her allegation.
I feel good about myself, I guess, because I am being believed, and they're the ones going to be held questionable.
The police are showing a renewed interest.
This is what I would call real authority, and he's going to have to be, he's going to have to answer their questions.
This idea has spread amongst the other parents I've met, and they all seem convinced that their children have been unknowingly caught up in Dr. Southall's research.
I believe it's because Dr. Southall wanted my son for his research. He fitted all his criteria for what he was researching into.
He was using Lawrence for research. He was a researcher, and he would have been used for research.
Do you have any doubts about that?
None whatsoever. Absolutely. Well, no, it's there in black and white. I now know the research studies that Lawrence was used in.
I want him in prison. That's predominantly where I want him. Because he should face charges of child abuse. What he did is tantamount to child abuse.
David Southall views the police investigation as another stage in the never-ending campaign against him.
They can't let it go. It's been going for years. Projecting forward. Trying in every way possible. They've complained to the General Medical Council about me. They've complained to the hospital. And now they're complaining to the police. Having had experiences where investigations have got things terribly wrong, I'm not very happy about having a police investigation hanging over me. Because you know as well as I do that things can go wrong.
Penny Mellor is convinced she can find the evidence to help prove the parents' case. She has utilised Freedom of Information legislation to hound hospitals for any documentation relating to Dr. Southall's research studies. She's already filled her garage with thousands of files stretching back over 20 years.
I know what he's done to children during his research projects. And I know he's procured children using allegations of child abuse in order to get them into his research projects when parents have refused to allow those children to go in there. And knowing that, I can't just sit back and not do anything. I can't. And it eats you alive, it eats you, it eats at you this, it just... You're all right, and then you get into the detail, and then you're not all right. I know what he's done. I know what he's done. Proving it's another bloody matter, though.
I feel that the new disorder...
The parents have become fixated on David Southall's extensive research into the causes of cot death. But contrary to their beliefs, His work is regarded as highly influential and important by many of his colleagues.
He did some incredibly important and very, very good research there in beginning to understand more about sudden infant death syndrome, which has saved a lot of lives of babies with quite severe breathing difficulties.
Put it on then, show us the funny bit. Where's the funny bit?
While some doctors praised David Southall's pioneering approach, the parents thought it was disturbing and frightening. Dee told me she found a specific research study in her son's medical records, which included a breathing test that horrified her. This procedure, called accusation testing, involves briefly stopping a child's breathing.
When I saw the occlusion, to me that was smothering.
He was going on about occlusion testing.
Yes, that's right. Standard lung function tests involves closing the airway with a special shutter during sleep for a short period of time to see how the baby's breathing pattern responds to that. Standard lung function tests developed for use in babies in the USA and Europe and the UK over years, and it was absolutely standard test.
I wanted to get another doctor's take on the documents Dee had shown me. Dr. Paul Johnson collaborated with David Southall in his early career, when they were both involved in researching early childhood development. He has a very different view on accusation testing.
It was not standard in infants then. That's a fact.
Yeah.
People were doing it. It was exploratory. Then you got to ask, are the people doing it, trained and competent in it?
Have you ever done this accusation test?
Oh yes, I've done the test with others on other sets of babies.
Yes.
And the results have been published by others more than by us in standard lung function tests, books. This is standard way of doing it. It's an ethical way, etc.
So, accusation testing is in that protocol.
Yes, but the problem, this is not as, there's no way is this a standard occlusion test.
What do you mean?
Well, it says there will be 5 occlusions, each lasting 10 seconds in duration. That, by definition, goes over several breaths. The occlusion test was not devised for that purpose. It was devised to be used for a fraction, usually a fraction of a second, at different phases of breathing to see what the reflex response is and what the lung function was. This is, dare I say, a very liberal extension of occlusion test.
There's different lengths of time that they could be occluded, the airway, during sleep, but none of them would lead to any harm to the baby. In fact, the baby would probably not wake up. It would be difficult to measure the effect if they did wake up.
You can trigger an event by doing that, for sure. I've done it in lambs. You can trigger an event for which you've got to be prepared to get that child out of that situation.
Normal babies during sleep regularly stop breathing for 10 seconds. It's normal. So, as far as I'm concerned, any extrapolation to lambs under anaesthetic, where he's doing these tests, or lambs during sleep, is not relevant to a human infant. It was also the standard test at the time, even though more modern equipment will use shorter occlusion test times.
This is not a routine test, and I'm sorry, I'm really very surprised to see that. And therefore, is that what's been going on all the time he's done an occlusion test? Because that isn't what's meant by occlusion test.
Hi, thanks.
Good. You have a good day.
Whatever the methods of occlusion testing used by Dr. Southall then, the test is more tightly regulated today.
What are they for? What have I got to do with them?
Dee showed me another document which she said the police investigating Ben's case were particularly interested in. This letter from Dr. Southall to the Ethics Committee seeks permission for him to conduct research without getting parents' written consent.
We do not intend to seek written consent from those parents participating in this project.
From previous experience, this is anxiety-provoking and leads to a high failure rate.
I gave the letter to Dr. Johnson, a veteran of many research studies, to see what he made of it.
All I can say is, wow, 1985. The outcome of this should have been that they should have had a letter explaining it to sign, or the project should have not been allowed.
But why would somebody ask for that?
Oh, well, I think it's arrogant, it's outrageous. I mean, that's 19th century thinking, not even 20th century thinking. I'm truly astonished to see this.
A lot of research was done on the basis of, I ask permission, and they say yes or no. The word written is the key here. Written consent. So in 1985, you could go to a parent and say, I want to do this test on your baby. The test does not involve any risk to your baby or anything invasive. Would you be willing for this to happen? Yes or no? And they might say, well, tell me more about it, and you would tell them all about it. And then they would say, I don't like the sound of that, or I'm happy to help you if it's going to help other babies, without any signed consent being undertaken at that time. Right. The word is written.
Dr. Johnson maintains that without a signature, it's impossible to prove whether the parent was properly informed about the nature of the research.
The point is, the investigator is absolutely obliged, first of all, to have had permission for the research, and secondly, to have explained it and got the proper signatures to do that research. If he hasn't done that, then the person on the end of this will never know what is clinical care and what is research.
I'm getting very concerned about what you're asking here. In those days, it was very common with non-invasive research to use the phrase informed consent. And this was informed. Doesn't mean you could do it with...
Why are you getting concerned about what I'm asking here? What do you mean by that?
Well, because what I feel is that the whole tone of this whole programme that you're making has suddenly changed to become rather negative.
That particular research study...
Dr. Johnson and Dr. Southall have a charged history, trading blows as opposing experts in various courtroom battles over the years.
I don't know whether it's on or off the record. He is not a trained scientist. He's never been trained by anybody, trained himself. He happened to be in a fairly prestigious place, the Brompton, but they didn't know anything about what he was doing.
I'm not going to answer negative remarks made by Professor Paul Johnson. I'm not. If he wants to make remarks, he can make them to me direct, not through a television programme. Sorry. I'm not prepared to go into it anymore. There's no point.
So
you can look at my CV, you'll see the papers I published in Paediatric Clinical Physiologist. I became a reader in Paediatric Clinical Physiologist in the lead National Heart and Lung Institute in the UK. I don't have to justify to Professor Johnson or to you or anybody else why or how that happened. It's a matter of history, and it's a long time ago now as well. That's another problem. Talking about things so long ago is difficult.
So you're saying it's not true that you're a self-trained scientist?
No, it's not. I've worked with lots of people. I worked with some of the top people in the UK and the US.
Has his research damaged children?
I think it probably has damaged some.
David dismisses Dr. Johnson's claim as nonsense. He spent his entire career defending himself against a myriad of allegations and complaints. However, he was now facing the most important trial of his professional life. He'd appealed against the GMC's decision to strike him off, and the High Court was about to rule on it. On the day of his result, I went to see Penny Mellor. It was going to be a big day for both of them.
You have a system in place, did you say?
What, in terms of how I'll know?
Yes.
Yes, somebody that's in the courtroom is going to put their phone on quickly and text me X for yes, he's off. And obviously no for no, he's got back on, we've lost.
Paediatrician Dr David Southall, he has lost his High Court battle against a decision to strike him off the medical register.
Good God.
The gentleman
council struck him off in 2007 after he accused the mother of drugging and murdering her 10-year-old son. However, he was guilty of serious professional misconduct, and that news just for me.
The GMP panel said Dr Southall had a deep-seated attitudinal problem. He's been fighting that through the High Court, but as we were just saying, he has lost his High Court battle. That decision stands.
Oh my God, they'll be in bits now. They're not going to be all right, are they? They're in a right state, Janet and Janet.
Well, where our standards have not been met, we must and we will act to protect patients and to protect the public interest.
It's the end of the trials of Dr Southall.
We can move on now, can't we?
Yeah.
Move on.
I mean, it means he is not going to be able to practice medicine, and that to me is just, it is such a relief.
I know, darling, it's coming all over the news. It came straight out.
On all accounts.
Are you all right?
Yes.
Is Janet all right, love?
Yes, all accounts.
Okay, sweetie pie. Bye, lovey.
Okay, bye. Just gonna ring back.
Bye. Yes, I'm all right. No, you're not. Hiya, Ben. Come on, tell me, what have you got to say about David Southall? Tell me. Breathe, darling, breathe. Breathe in, Ben, and say it again, love. Just take a breath in and then say it again.
We got him.
We got him.
Yeah. Georgia. What's them for?
Are you going to go and have a cup of tea to celebrate, Ben? We got him, I know, darling. You did, darling, yeah, you got him.
David's long and distinguished career seemed over. He's been erased from the medical register. It looked like the mothers and campaigners had finally defeated him.
You remember you said to me, as an 11-year-old boy, you always wanted to be a doctor?
Yes.
Did you ever see this down the road?
No. How could anybody think that? It's quite something.
I mean, how hard is that to take?
It is hard, yes. I don't like it, of course. Especially as I know it's wrong and that there is something terribly wrong with the processes that has led to this.
David's heard that the police investigation against him is gathering pace, and losing his appeal doesn't work in his favour. But this doctor has a pathological resistance to rolling over. He vows to fight on and overturn all the allegations against him. The appeal court called David Southall's behaviour truly shocking and an abuse of his role as a paediatrician. But his supporters and colleagues have rallied round him, condemning the judge's decision as highly damaging to child protection.
This is a really big blow for a High Court judge to produce this result in the light of, the known difficulties in interviewing parents involved in child protection issues. If he'd have been a family court judge, he would have known instantly that that was the case.
So you're appealing the appeal?
Well, you can, because the first appeal was in the administrative court for the General Medical Council and was one judge. What I feel this issue is so important, it needs a proper appeal court judgment of 3 High Court judges.
Surprisingly, Dee also believes the appeal court have got it wrong. Not because they upheld his striking off, but because she believes the trial didn't deal with the real story behind David Southall.
Yes, please, thank you.
We closed one chapter last week with him being struck off the register. That was the end of 20 years of us saying about his conduct, if you like. The police thing is another thing again. I mean, we're looking at, to me, even more serious things then in relation to Ben, which wasn't covered by the GMC.
Dee has spent years gathering medical evidence to build her case and has handed everything over to the police. She believes Ben was involved in a research project carried out by Dr. Southall without her consent. Dee thinks this amounts to an assault on Ben and is hoping the police will press charges.
Do you think Ben was part of this research study?
That is what other people's take on it has been. I mean, our own, we know because we know, okay? But yeah, other people's take on it has been that those protocols being in Ben's files means that he was part of that project.
What I'd like to know is where is the evidence that these parents have that their children were involved in this study or any other research study? Because that's the important question that you should be looking at as well. Where's the evidence?
I have looked at that.
And where's the evidence?
They said that a lawyer gave them these documents.
Yeah, because this is very important to me, and I'm glad you're doing it, but I want to know, to be fair on me, you need to tell me where this has come from, because it's no use them just alleging something. Where's the evidence?
Well, I went to see the lawyer, and he said he did give it to them.
Right, that's very important. So which lawyer gave what to who?
David doesn't believe the parents have any proof Ben was involved in his research study, a study he says never even went ahead. But Dee told me her solicitor had been given Ben's records by the hospital, which contained Dr. Southall's research project in them.
When we went to court, we had to demonstrate that these documents were relevant to the case, and they were disclosed by the Brompton Hospital for the purposes of the Hollisey-McLean case. So I can only assume, it's a while since the case was being investigated, but they must have been regarded as relevant to the Hollisey-McLean case, otherwise they wouldn't have been disclosed to us.
Meaning that Ben Hollisey-McLean was subject to these research protocols?
I can't say that. They were disclosed for the purposes of our investigations into the Hollisey-McLean case.
Dr. Southall had lots of research studies. Why were you given this one if you were asking for documents relating specifically to Ben Hollisey-McLean?
I agree. They were disclosed because they were relevant to Ben's case, which suggests that this research protocol and Ben had a link. But it's so long ago now that I can't say what that link was.
But they did have a link?
They must have had a link, otherwise they wouldn't have been disclosed.
It was never put in there as part of his clinical care, because there would be no need to. There's no relevance of the two things together.
So he wasn't subject to those protocol tests?
Of course not, no. He was 4 years old. This is on newborn babies. This project is about newborn babies. Okay? He was 4 years old when I got him referred to me. So why would he be part of a study involving large numbers of babies?
The fact is, Ben had already undergone the first 2 stages of that research. And so if it was done for babies, why had Ben undergone those first 2 stages anyway?
How do you know he'd gone through the first 2
Well,
stages?
because the things that are described in that protocol happened to Ben while he was in the hospital.
Phase 1 and Phase 2 were carried out on Ben, and it seems real to me that Phase 3 could be carried out as well.
How do you know Phase 1 and Phase 2 were carried out?
Because of the documentation that we have.
So when he says that it had nothing to do with Ben, what do you say about that?
Well, we have a photograph of Ben attached to his equipment. He can have a look at that if he likes.
Say that again?
We have a photograph of Ben attached to his equipment. If he wants to see it, I think it has everything to do with Ben. We have considerable evidence to support what we're saying.
I got a call from David. He was in London. The police had asked him to attend a police station to be formally interviewed in relation to an alleged assault on Ben Hollisey-McLean, the H case.
Where are you going now, David?
I'm going to see my solicitor.
About what?
About my discussions with the police tomorrow about the H case. There's an allegation of a serious crime. They're investigating it.
Is that an arrest?
No, not an arrest. I'm a suspect.
What's the charge?
Grievous bodily harm.
Say it again?
Grievous bodily harm, I believe.
On the day of David's police interview, Dee had told me she would be kept informed of any developments.
At this moment, you know more than me via Southall, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, because all I know is that, in theory, an interview was planned today under caution, but that's it. Oh, God. After 20 years of doing this, Leo, you have to laugh.
I mean, he's been interviewed under caution. He confirmed he's been interviewed
Did he?
under caution.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean...
serious offence.
Yeah, but what's the offence, Leo?
He said grievous bodily harm on a child.
Did he? Well, that is absolute, total, utter news, because I... Really? Is that what he said? Shit. Excuse my French. No.
What do you mean you're not... What?
Leo, I don't expect anything.
Is that... What is that... What? When I say that to you, what do you think?
Shock. Not because I don't believe he didn't do it, I believe he did. But we've had 20 years of climbing mountains. And for someone else to say, which is obviously, it has come from someone else, that he's being questioned on suspicion of GBH, then from our point of view, that's a big, huge thing. And it's the first time that we've had real acknowledgement people believe what we're saying. It's an acknowledgement of what happened to Ben. But at the same time, it reinforces what we know happened to Ben, do you know what I mean? So while we know it happened, there's a part of you that doesn't want to acknowledge that it did either. Because of what he suffered. All the aching and the upset. And the guilt that I couldn't protect Ben. And I can't stop and think about that, Leo. So I have to put up a front. Because, you know, the guilt that I couldn't protect him would eat away at me. And I can't let that happen. I could spend every minute of every day crying. You know? And I can't let people see that. It's not fair on my family. You know? It's not fair on Ben, that little boy is gone. But it doesn't mean I don't grieve for him. Every day I grieve for him.
After 2 years following David Southall, I'm learning to expect the unexpected. I thought he'd be worried about the police investigation into the alleged assault on Ben. Instead, I found him jovial and optimistic.
Yes, yes. Quite good, really.
It turns out he's had some good news. The High Court have upheld his second appeal, and temporarily he's back on the medical register.
Oh, hi, Martin. Sorry, a unanimous verdict of 3 appeal court judges to quash the serious professional misconduct and the erasure from the medical register. That's quite something. This is a major breakthrough.
Have you got anything to say to the parents?
I think they should put all this behind them and try and lead the rest of their lives without trying to blame somebody for what's happened. Easier said than done, but I think that's what should happen. I've had 12 years or more of very serious trouble, harassment, whatever you want to call it. But it is nothing compared with what happens to the children who are being abused. Nothing. And that's what keeps you going. And if I give up now, knowing that I have the expertise to help, then that would be a mistake.
This is only a fleeting victory. David has been told by the GMC that he must now face further sanctions, which could see him struck off for a second time. On top of that, the police have handed Ben's case over to the Crown Prosecution Service for a decision. While David's endless hearings and litigation rumble on, the parents still struggle to live with the allegations against them, and the consequences are played out in unexpected ways.
I'm scared to take children to hospital, or myself to hospital. How stupid can that be? Not that I wouldn't, but I've always got to have somebody with me. I can't just go in, and I always like, can you make sure you put that down there that you said that and I didn't say it? Oh, it gets silly. It gets so silly.
Our children still have got medical problems. We have to go to hospital.
We do,
And
unfortunately.
You sit there and you worry about what you're going to say, you worry about afterwards what you have said, and you end up acting abnormally because of the stress and the worry.
It undermines and makes them question their ability to parent, and they become totally paranoid about being accused again, or is somebody else going to think I'm a child abuser? And that makes them dysfunctional as parents.
I sound like a very confident person. Actually, most of that is an act. In fact, it is just. And I get up in the morning and I buy smart clothes from the charity shop, and I get out there and I think, sod you, I'm not gonna let you do this. My interior life is, it's tears of the clown, really. That's what it is.
You know, everybody's been through really, really bad things that have happened to them. It's how you deal with them. To me, that is important. Some people deal with stuff better than others. Me, I just keep going. And do you know what I think it is? I think because there's nothing that can happen to me now that is even surmountable to what I was put through and made to believe and think that can be any worse.
During all the time I've spent with David, he's never once wavered in the conviction of his beliefs. He's a man who deals in absolutes. To him, these issues were black and white, and he's unrepentant about the decisions he's made.
I am not going to say something just for the sake of ending something in a way that the parents, want me to. I will end it in the way that I think is the right thing, or what I saw as the correct approach and result. That doesn't mean that I'm always right in everything. All I'm saying that in these cases that you've put to me, I remain of the view that I did the right thing for all of the children involved.
In 10 years' time, David, if we hook up, will we still be talking about the same thing?
I don't know, it's been going on for so long. I mean, I don't want to be involved in it. It's not me that's pursuing them. I'm not pursuing anybody over this. It's been the other way around. And they've been aided by the media in a very big way, because it's very entertaining.
How long have you been doing this now?
On this particular thing, 11 years.
11 years. Being paid?
No, you've got to be joking.
How do you fund it?
I don't.
How many hours a week would you put in?
Well, it's not 9 to 5 because I've got children, haven't I? How many hours a week do I put into this at the moment? Maybe 5 hours, 6 hours a day.
How many emails, complaints have you made, would you say?
Complaints?
Yeah.
To whom? Oh, God.
What?
I couldn't count.
What?
I couldn't. I
More than
wouldn't
10?
know. Oh, good God, yeah.
More than 100?
Thousands.
Thousands of complaints?
Yeah.
You've made thousands of complaints?
Yeah.
About Southall?
Yeah.
To who?
Everybody. Ministers. Anybody I thought could do something about it.
After deliberating for over a year, the Crown Prosecution Service has come to a decision. It's decided not to pursue the case against David Southall. The police have told Dee and Dave that the CPS believes there's insufficient evidence to secure a conviction.
You know, what's the point of going ahead with a prosecution or whatever if there's no chance of a conviction?
Does it feel like a loss or a victory? Or neither?
Neither. It feels like it's something we needed to do, needed to happen.
Yeah.
It feels like an end of a process that we needed to go through.
What I felt was the most important thing is that, you know, the matter was investigated and looked at, and that process was gone through, and it was examined in terms of the law.
But did we, when we started out, think that it would get to him being investigated and questioned? Probably not. Did we think a file would be to go to the CPS? No. So, I mean, we've achieved a lot, really. And if nothing else has come from all this in the last 20 years, Leo, it's the hope that someone will have learned from it, so that there won't be another Ben in the future, and another family won't have to go through the hell that we've all been put through, you know, that we've lived for the last 20 years.
Mm.
So can you look forward rather than looking back?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do look forward, yeah. But the thing is,
That's right now.
I think the minute Ben walks down the stairs, you look back.